So, thank you. I hope you enjoyed your conversations during the break. And for those that don't know me, I probably introduced you lot, but not really said too much about myself. But I'm Sean Gilligan, and back in 2003, my back bedroom as a 25-year-old, I set up Web Anywhere, and we're now in Chicago, Katowice, and Leeds. We've got 100 staff, and what we're most proud of is we've bootstrapped. We've never taken on any venture capital or private equity. So. It's a real entrepreneurial business, and because it's entrepreneurial, it means that we can turn on a sixpence and we can maybe do stuff that other companies can't do if we're pursuing an idea, such as Voice First. So I do have a Ventures Anywhere arm, and within that there's a startup company called Sound Branch. So today's talk is going to be about a case study focused on Web Anywhere and the 100 staff that I've got across these disparate locations. So if I go to the next slide. So what we're really talking about is a different way to communicate. Put your hand up if you're sick of email. Okay, but yeah, pretty much most people. And we're all guilty of sending an email and causing the problem. Because we're sending emails, getting more emails back, and those are bad at time management and with attention deficit or disorder like me, you just glue to your inbox all the time because what's coming next, what's coming next? In fact, I was listening to a podcast, it was Lawrence Jones of UK Fast talking to Gary Neville, the Man United right back, and just switching off email. I think Lawrence Jones, he gets his PA to read out all the emails, and Gary Neville likewise just turns the phone off. But it does dominate your life, and you almost need to go into a state of digital detox rather. And that's why Voice First is exciting for me. I think we're going to have a renaissance of the 1970s where we're going to start looking at each other again instead of being glued to screens, whether that's in a business meeting or in a pub. We might become more sociable perhaps. So a different way to communicate business at the speed of sound. Who's been on Concorde here? Put your hand up. Now, to be honest, I was a young lad and I didn't have the money to travel from Paris to New York in 3.5 hours. But anybody been on Concorde? No, okay. But obviously a legendary aircraft, and we'll come back to that in a minute. So a little bit about Web Anywhere. We were established in 2003, we've got 4,000 customers, and we're an international edtech e-learning company. In fact, our values are really important to us. We're flexible, we're fun, we're proactive, and we're curious. And our mantra is to stretch beyond our potential, stretch beyond the customer's expectations. And we've got a distributed workforce. We're in the West Loop of Chicago, we're in Leeds, and we're in Silesia, southern Poland. And that creates problems. There we are in Chicago. And the problem is this, the problem statement is that actually, as Chicago start work, Leeds and Katowice are finishing. There's only a window, a certain time frame where you can get hold of people, and that creates all sorts of complexity and problems. So really talking about maybe 2 or 3 hours where you can check in with teams. So it's about breaking through time zones. Back to the Concorde. Concorde could break through time zones, but actually Concorde isn't flying anymore and it's far too expensive. Yes, there is Hyperloop. I don't know if they'll have LX or Hyperloop, perhaps. We'll have to see. But how can you break through time zones? And there's Chicago, there's Leeds, Bridgewater Place, and Katowice, and you can see the sort of the time differences and that you're fighting. So voicemail, who here, put your hand up, still uses voicemail or receives them? Maybe you receive them but don't check them, but who's sort of still using voicemail? Yeah? A bit like hush puppies, perhaps voicemail is going to come back into fashion, right? Let's have to, that's what I'm betting on. I'm not wearing hush puppies, by the way. So these phones now gathering dust in offices. Yeah, about 100 quid a shot, voice over IP, but actually the world's moving on. And voicemail is now here. Who uses Gmail or Outlook? Put your hand up. Use Gmail, Outlook. Yeah, and it's probably the most used application during the day, unfortunately. Back to the email saga. So what I'm saying is take the inbox, but reimagine it. And reimagine it with voice first and with audio through a multimodal experience. And this is my startup Soundbranch. And I want to talk about how Soundbranch has been embedded within my organisation to improve internal communication and business at the speed of sound. So how about this? A company flash briefing by everyone. Not the CEO, not the Chief Strategy Officer peers, but by everybody in the business. That's incredibly exciting. So what we've been doing at Web Anywhere is collecting voice data for over a year now. And what we did is, using Soundbranch, which is similar to Slack, but it's voice first, and it's using voice messaging, we set up an education group for the education division, a workplace learning group, a recruitment group, and a senior leaders group. And then what we did is we started sending each other messages in short form in 10 to 20 second chunks. And why 10 to 20 seconds will become clearer as we go through. And what I asked as CEO is all staff should do a debrief each day to say how their day went, whether it was good or bad, just to do a 10-second, 20-second debrief on their day. And they could do this in a multimodal experience. So Soundbranch has apps on iOS and Android. It's available through the web at soundbranch.com, and it's also available through smart speakers, but typically a member of staff will log on to Soundbranch, join their group, and start voice messaging. And there you can see Steve James visited the Met Police recently. He's not going to jail, don't worry, he's there at the back, yeah, okay. Right, moving on. Understanding people's emotion. At the end of the day, a business only comes down to three things. It's the relationships fostered, it's the quality of the conversations, and the expectations. So actually, if the expectations in a business are down to the staff handbook and the quarterly objectives, the relationships are things like these events and going down a boozer or playing football together, it really does come down to the quality of conversation. And we now have it with Amazon and sentiment analysis, which is really powerful. So what we can now do within Soundbranch is not only have the voice message, we can detect the mood of that person. And therefore, as managers and leaders in the organisations, we can find the problems and address those. And this is really exciting. So I'm going to play this short video. Oh, you need permission, Dan. Bear with me. I'm on Steve Ding's laptop, that's why. Give me a second. So what we'll do first is request access. I can't do that with my voice, I'll have to use my hand. Right, I've done that. I'm moving down the room. Bear with me. What I might do is, if this fails, I might skip that slide and give you a demo of that, but let's move on actually, if that's okay. It should be easier. Go back. I'm going to get into all sorts of knots here. Requested access, requested access. Okay, great. Crash and burn. Where's the actual drive? Just as we do that, do you want to ask me a few questions and I'll try and answer, and I'll do some multitasking, which of course my voice is good, it's good for multitasking apparently, so if you keep asking me questions as I try and get myself out of jail with this, but any questions from the floor at this moment in time? Yeah?
One good thing about email is that you can search the contents, but I mean, the inboxes look very, there's a lot of information in inboxes, but if your all inboxes says is names and lots of sound file icons,
Yeah.
how do you, how do you deal with that? How do you, the emotional thing is really interesting, but how do you sort of understand maybe, you have to listen literally to every clip, don't you, to know what it says, how do you go back to it?
No, because this is the exciting bit. really. So we can do voice search and voice. So only recently, 3 years ago, you could do transcription with 96% accuracy. So you can now talk to these devices and you can search, and I'll demonstrate that towards the end. Hopefully that won't crash and burn as well. But here's Wordle Analytics. So one thing you can do, whether it's your private group or you as a person, you can look at what are the frequent words that are coming up. So is it New York? Why is it New York? Is it because there's opportunity? Is there an issue? And so that starts to become quite interesting, interrogating what's been said and why. For example, how many people in your organisation are asking open-ended questions as managers? What, why, who, where, when? Are we asking enough open-ended questions? Are we talking positively or negatively? How often are your managers saying the word well done, please and thank you? Stuff like that is really important. You can start to interrogate that. You can also say who's speaking to who. And you can listen to everyone, which is really powerful. If leadership is about communication, and a big part of communication is listening, you can actually listen to all your staff each day, which should make for better decision making and therefore competitive advantage. I'm going to have to help Pano, or somebody anyway. Just bear with me a second. I need to give myself access to some of these things. Or what I might do, I'll go live with all this, but again, it's a request permission thing, which is going to kill me. I'm in trouble.
You can approve on your phone?
Yeah, it doesn't matter. I'm going to do it blind because my phone's off and probably my wife will ring me then and it's going to go horribly wrong. I might need the hour actually to get through this. Okay, I'll just keep going down. Now, you do me a favour, just go on my computer and see if you can accept those videos. But what I'll do is I'll do it blind for now. It should be coming through. But there's a couple of videos that, if you grant permission to Steve, that'd be great. Okay, let's go to where we were, breaking through time zones. So we got to sentiment analysis. We'll skip that video. We talked about Wordle Analytics, listening to everyone. So here's a video. Now, will this play or not? A dead touch it now. Just click play. Is that working?
Might have to
Or request access, yeah. Request access. Yeah, refresh it, yeah? F5 is that. I'm a Mac user.
You can just present it to that.
Yeah. Yeah, I could do.
Bear with me.
Okay. Right. Let's just have one more go at this, see if we can do it. I'm going to do live, it's much better. I'll turn them on, so don't interrupt me, I'll do that at the end. So it's all about easily recalling what was said last month, last year, and that's becomes interesting. I don't know about you, but there's the forgetting curve, and I can sort of remember what I've been doing the last 2 weeks, and then after that I really start to struggle. So you can play back conversations, and has anyone seen a video by the Wall Street Journal where there's like a picture of Mr. Blobby and he smashes through a wall? Has anyone seen that video? No, but, alright, so just me then. But basically, every time you make a phone call to somebody, you're invading their privacy, you're interrupting them. So actually, you can look at the trends, and phone calls are going down, and things like WhatsApp, WeChat, voice messaging, you can now do it with LinkedIn, it's becoming more prevalent. I think actually voice messaging is coming to Instagram pretty soon. And there is this spooky Facebook thing that's just come out as well. But that's got a bit of a lecture in it, so it must be cool. Moving on. So one of the benefits of voice messaging is you don't have to do the small talk, and it's really important to do small talk on first meet and greet, but thereafter you might just want a sales figure, a deadline, an update, and you don't want to spend 5 minutes, too much time, when you just want a number, and that sounds a little bit rude and almost not very English, but time is money, and sometimes you just want to get a number, and it should only take a couple of seconds and not 5 minutes. So voice messaging can be useful in terms of getting quick answers. You've also got an audit trail, so I hate to say this, but part of the reason there's a proliferation of email is around covering one's arse, right? And so people want an audit trail of who said what and when, and you can still do that with voice messaging, but it's getting people talking again instead of sort of sat next to each other, emailing each other, which is sort of unhealthy. People do it because it's non-confrontational, so it's sort of a halfway house between the phone call and face-to-face. A voice message gives you that emotion, but some sort of feel with it, similar to email. Who, put your hand up if you always reject an email read receipt. Some recruiters send them, some business people send them, but most people just say, no, I'm not going to tell you whether I've read this or not, you're invading my privacy. Put your hand up if you sort of just say, I don't want an email receipt. Yeah, okay, sure. One of the interesting things with this is you can actually, once you've posted a voice note, which I call a CDOT branch, you can see who's listened to the audio, which is quite interesting. And another interesting thing that you can do is take the traditional CV and add audio to it to have an audio profile, which is quite interesting. So you can actually have an audio CV, but you can also have social proof, so you can have people doing reviews and testimonials. So if you're all meeting today, you might have gone on somebody's LinkedIn, looked at their testimonials, a bit of their bio, but actually you can bring this to life with audio by having an audio profile and then the social proof of people saying this guy's a good guy. Because if you look at poor people, really trying to get references out of companies these days is terrible. People just saying, yeah, they used to work here, that's it. And it's like, hang on, I've just done 10 years for you. So yes, some people do get long letters, but quite often HR departments are just saying, yes, they used to work here. So this idea that you might have people talk, push versus pull. So, voice search on voice. Alexa, ask Sound Branch to search New York. OK Google, ask Sound Branch search GDPR. So you're searching on web pages, you're searching people's thoughts, which is really powerful. So you've got to get the story behind the numbers. If you're in business, you might have the monthly management account, but if you integrate with Sage and Xero, perhaps you've got the monthly management accounts, and then you can drill down to the conversations behind those numbers. That's really interesting, and that's something that we're exploring. So what's really exciting for the future is how you take those conversational analytics and overlay that with CRM data and with financial data to make smart decisions. So if you've got 200 branches in the country, Harrogate's doing better than Bristol in terms of the financial data and the sales data. Let's drill into those conversations and really try and understand what's going on. So what did we learn? When a team member was removed from the group, because of the sense of belonging and the conversations fostered, people wanted back in. So if somebody was accidentally removed from the group, they'd say, can you get me back in the group? Salespeople love it. I guess salespeople love the sound of their own voices. Sorry if there's any salespeople here. But it does actually say, when it comes to valuable face time, if you can do a voice message and you can increase the amount of face time you've got selling, that's a good thing for sales. Introverts maybe don't like it as much. They're going to prefer Slack, the keyboard warriors, and that's fine. With the transcriptions, you can actually read through the text. You don't have to play the audio, and maybe they just want to listen and be less vocal. So it's definitely more appropriate for extroverts. And as Andre would say, there's certain utilisation cases, low and high utilisation cases for voice first. And actually, when you're travelling, it's really useful. In the office, people are still going to prefer to type with the keyboard. And if you've got English as a second language as well, you've got to be sensitive to that. You might have people that speak great English, but they're not confident doing so. So I don't think you've got to force it on people. You shouldn't mandate it, but it's there if you want to use it. And you've got to be sensitive to that. So instead of having 10-second duration, maybe you go into 20 seconds, and you're sensitive to that. But what it does really foster is bottom-up management. Has anyone read the book, John Timpson, about bottom-up management and servant leadership? Sort of the cobblers. But if you go to Timpson's shoe repairs, they employ people from prisons and they do bottom-up management, which is, how do I help you? So the idea is you flip the hierarchy of a business and the leader's right at the bottom and the staff at the top, and how can I serve you? And this idea of bottom-up management, generating ideas, the people nearest the coalface in your business really know the customer truth and what's going on. So if you can get that data and that voice data, that intent, you can make for a better business really and understand what's going on. Leadership is communication. If you're trying to spot future leaders, the people who are most vocal on the platform are easy to spot. Perhaps there's someone in a remote office that's a leader that the CEO doesn't know about, but with business at the speed of sound, people can start identifying those people. And disengagement, you know, the statistics are horrible, but it's something like in the UK, 27% of the workforce are disengaged. So how do you get people engaged? Well, firstly, you've got to find out who's disengaged and why. So people that aren't posting, and with a sentiment emoji, you can start to think about maybe who is not happy in their job. If they're not happy in their job, they're not going to make your customers happy. So how can you address those types of issues with a leadership and management team? You can also establish where there's friction between people. You know, it's not what you say, it's how you say it, and you can really sort of uncover that in a positive way. And people who declare themselves and their goals are more likely to achieve them. So if you keep telling everyone in the audience you're going to do this, that, the other, you're more likely to do it than if you keep that to yourself and you don't declare it. And conversational playbacks drives accountability. There's often in organisations Chinese whispers. I mean, massive organisations like Barclays or Amazon, eBay, you know, silos, different layers. How does the left hand know what the right hand's doing, and this ability to play back conversations? Okay, I've already covered that. So starting with why, it is a book starting with why. So why should you do this? I think there's no scheduling. Scheduling a meeting is actually quite a lot of work. So why schedule in the first place? Within Soundbranch, we've got a concept called gatherings, which are just-in-time meetings. So instead of, I don't know if anyone remembers when Outlook brought out the calendar, they set the default setting to 1 hour. So all meetings worldwide were 1 hour. Then they changed it to 30 minutes, then 30 minutes. But what about a meeting that lasts all day or lasts all morning, where the CEO can drop in at the start, give us 10 pennies worth, other people participate, and then driving home the CEO can play back those conversations. Just-in-time manufacturing is really good, unless you've got Brexit and the mini car factory in Oxford, in which case we're in trouble, but generally it stops component parts gathering dust. So just-in-time meetings and gatherings, where you've got voice messaging going on, is a really powerful way of conducting those meetings. Transparency is really important in business. If people know how they fit into the vision and mission of your organisation, then that's going to help you. So everybody being able to listen to their peers and what they're doing, what part they're playing is really key. And then understanding the temperature in your teams and emotions. If you're in Slack, you can't really understand the emotion in your team. If you're on Soundbranch, you can. So the final thing, has anyone looked at screen time on your iPhone? It's only recently come out. Put your hand up if you've used screen time at all. I think it's there, again, it's the digital detox, and you can sort of self-force yourself not to be on email as much. You can lock it out. It's good for managing kids and iPhones and tablets and stuff like that. But what we found with our this is a member of the sales team, we looked at the app usage and screen time utilisation in each app on a weekly basis, and we found that Gmail was top with the 2 hours there, and Soundbranch was a close second. Phone calls right down at the bottom. We're spending 21 minutes daily on Soundbranch, 26 minutes on Gmail, but we can all talk 4 times faster than we can type. So actually Soundbranch is more productive than Gmail. In my view, obviously, I'm slightly biased. So I think without further ado, I think we're going to move to questions. But before I do that, I just want to do a quick demonstration, and I need Alexa to help me out here after this disaster. So I think Alexa's going to save me now. Fingers crossed I'm very wrong. Alexa, ask Soundbranch to play my inbox. So we're just getting ready now for the Voice Summit, which kicks off today. It's going to be a great day, some very exciting speakers and a great audience. We look forward to it.
I don't know about you, but there's been times when I've been asking Alexa to do stuff and it says I'm still learning or I don't know. What new skills can you see being developed in the next year?
So there's currently a late surge for tickets. We're really looking forward to
Alexa, stop. And you can do the search, which is really powerful. So you can search Chicago or London or whatever, and it just comes up. So I think without further ado, there were some more videos to play. If you want to learn more,
this Thursday. this Thursday in London at Home House. If you've got any questions prior to the conference, do post them here.
I might just piss off and let Alexa do this.